6 o'clock, I call the working meeting to order. The first thing on the agenda is the gas service for the village. So we had 14 people, and we had 2 more people, John Cohen and Charlie. We haven't gotten back either one of their applications yet. We need 17, I think, for the whole street, down Washington to the whole street. So I told Valerie that by December 15th, we'll have a final number, and that's going to be probably the cutoff. So then there'll be a price if people want it that signed up, or it'll be for free if we have the 17 people.
Is that for every street?
No, it's only for Washington and Chestnut. We got the other streets, we only got very few applications.
Can I ask Washington, one, see if anybody wants it?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's okay? Because I asked
You
people that are interested.
did you put your application in?
I have it, like I said, it's just one of those things I put on the wayside, so, I mean, I can kind of just push and say, look, the deadline's 15th, I think you put your feet up on it to go while they're doing it.
Yep.
Now, if we get more further up, does that affect the total number and they would do Chestnut?
They said we needed 17 for Washington and Chestnut, because that's where we had the biggest response. And if we got Walnut, I don't know how many people they needed for that, but we only have like 1 application for Walnut right now.
Well, we're short of what, 4?
Yeah.
4? So if a couple were on Walnut, the difference is made up by Walnut.
No, it has to be on Washington or Chestnut. So,
Because I don't think Charlie's going to do it.
right. But it might be worth after Thanksgiving just knocking on some doors and saying, are you interested in this application? Either way, she's going to give us a price on the 15th for the people that signed up. They can decide whether they want to do it or not. Hey, Chris. Hey. No, it's pretty standard. Standard application.
Doing it plumber.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you had a couple of further applications and when you're on that way. And so just you want to do it and say, well, here it is, it's partially filled out, you just need to do this, this, and that.
Oh, it's very simple. It's just really their address, what they're going to be using the gas service for, and where the one will come to the house.
Okay.
So. Okay, so you want to give us the update on Walnut Beach?
Oh, as far as the polling?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I met with National Grid at the beach, and we talked about the relocation. We talked about the current state of the pole that's existing, the lean to one side, a couple of the guide wires coming down. He was very receptive to move it to the east.
Okay.
Is that the opposite side? To the opposite side of the beach. That would be taking it away from the pedestrian traffic where the pole is right now. Everybody seems to access the beach for the most part over there. It's been through his boss, and now it's up to the next level at PSC&G, and we're supposed to get back together after the Thanksgiving holiday and figure out what the next step needs to be. And we're promising the best right now.
All right, and then we should address that property that's on the corner. When we had the last storm, obviously, the bulkhead was floating into park and the parking lot. I saw David put some of it back.
It's better now.
It does.
It's so much better now.
But I'm just wondering if we should maybe, after the holidays, set up a meeting with her, talk about what repairs have to be done, because it's all falling apart on that whole entire
The whole
site.
entire community, and then at the same time probably ask about the whole group.
Yeah.
What we have to do to get permission to create a real.
Okay, anything else? National Grid air testing for the village, so I met with them last Friday. They agreed to do the testing in the summer months, no problem. It's probably gonna take that long to even set it up. They wanna have it on their property so that the security, we went over there, seems to be like the best location. It's like sunk down where these tanks are, and they feel it's close enough to all of this and close enough to this to get everything. So, it was, pretty much, they kind of already knew where they were going to put it, and they'll be giving us monthly updates. We need them to come talk to the board, they'll come talk to the board, but they'll send us the data each month, so. All right. I don't don't know if you had any more questions. I mean, we met with this company, they were there too, TRC.
Yeah, TRC?
It was, sorry,
Yeah, I saw it.
his card's at my house.
Is he in the city or in Connecticut?
He's in New Jersey.
New Jersey, okay.
Uh-huh.
So I was just wondering on an area to monitor this big, wouldn't they pick 2 points to monitor?
They're picking one because we only have one for the budget, and the concept is to get 2 birds with 1 stone. So on one hand, we have the power plant that we know has been a very good neighbor lately for air quality. On the other hand, we have the asphalt plant down the road, which you know has been a very bad neighbor. So the thought was if we had 1 pick, let's pick it to be able to point out that the asphalt plant is the culprit during the air pollution issues rather than the power plant.
And they shut down in the winter anyway. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. I kind of told them that we wanted to see if it was one of the asphalt plant. They were all for that, figuring out that it was the asphalt plant.
I just want to point out a lot of the mixes that were, the biggest problem we have air quality wise actually is during the winter. While they're making coal patch, they're making a proprietary blend. That was the problem, okay, which is allowing them to make coal patch late into the winter. We don't want anyone else to really understand that per se, but you know, that's something that we want to, that's why we want to catch them.
The drain issues on Maple and New Street, the last time we left off is that we needed the village engineer to do a survey. I've emailed him. He knows it has to be done. He hasn't done it yet. So I'm going to table that for December. Update on the dock construction. We're closing with Gold Coast Bank this week, and we signed the construction agreement with the company that's building the dock. They're going to be starting in the next few weeks. We're going to close down California Park. We'll close down the parking lot when they're ready to begin, so they have a place to put their stuff. And that's it.
Are the residents that live down that area going to be notified at the start?
Yeah. So, I mean, they should really be getting the dinghies out anyway. We should get them out by December 1st so that they're not down there. You know, but Frank was thinking we'll put cones up and then even close the gate and let them have like a key or something to get in and out. So, you know, they can leave whatever equipment that they need down there. Okay, so do you want to talk about Town of Brookhaven and shed services?
And also, I forwarded to the clerk's office the information needed to allow Brookhaven to take over the registrar duties, at least as it relates to births and deaths in the village. That seems to be the only thing that we're really suited for, and they're really not up to speed with any other shared services regarding our records and the other items that they're thinking about doing in the future. From what I gathered out of the documents, I don't know, Joe, if you got a chance to look at those, but it seems like we're going to need to pass a resolution for it to happen. But if what Brookhaven sent is correct, the state is also going to need to pass its own resolution allowing a municipality like the town of Brookhaven to take over that service for us. So there's a few steps involved still, but I think at some point, for us to even make it possible, we have to pass a resolution. The language of the resolution was in the document I forwarded to Joe. There's maybe 1 or 2 other villages across New York State who've done it. So the language
Is this part of the grant that they got?
It is part of their grant to, I guess the state's encouraging municipalities to join services to save money. So.
And I know you said we don't have to do it, but that was one of the things that they wanted to give up. So we don't have it. When was the last time we even had one?
A year ago.
I think from what I'm understanding from the clerk's office, the technology the state is asking everyone to use to administer it is something that, to stay aware, up to speed on it for the few that we have, it almost makes sense. It sounds like, at least from what I've heard.
That's the problem. The records, the state wants the system modernized, and
Right.
The overhead, the initial outlay and the overhead for the village to do that would be fairly significant, and maintaining it. So That, to me, that's the benefit of using the town.
Clerk Lent had asked that we do all of our records through them, but like I said, that was a process that wasn't really feasible, nor had they had it fleshed out yet either. They were a little premature with that idea, but this one seemed...
That alleviate everything you want to bid then, like for, like say road work or sewer?
No, it's just, this is just for
basic-
registrar work, like when someone dies in the village, or the Joe...
That was on the topic though, like we talked about shared services. That was
Right, but they're
just
just
farther down the
way down the road. But this was just so that they could, if somebody
I got it.
dies in the village, Joe doesn't have to be the one responsible for...
Do we have to wait for somebody
Putting that
else
up
to
to
do that?
No.
No, we could just pass a resolution and have it.
Yes.
There's particular wording that I thought she sent for us. I don't know, I don't have
She
that.
did, I can have the resolution ready for the next meeting.
Okay.
A resolution.
The problem we've got with that is the New York State website for death and birth certificates is a bear. It's an absolute bear. And if we don't do it for a year or two, and all of a sudden you're trying to sign on there,
Right.
you're never gonna get paid. Because they'll probably be upgrading it as they go. Ooh, we got the upgrades. You gotta remember your codes, you gotta remember your sign-ons and your passwords and everything else, so it's a real, I've been trying to work with the state IS system, and just to sign on to get into it,
Yeah.
it's murder.
Well, it's good. It'd be good for us to show that we're trying to consolidate.
So, the landscaping company, do they do a full cleanup? Do you know if that's in their contract, John?
It is in the contract. I tried calling Tom today, actually yesterday, just to find out. I know the leaves are coming down. I saw the street sweeper coming through, just to find out when his final cleanup will be. I don't know if they're gonna wait until, I'll call him again tomorrow, just to find out what date they're gonna finish all the cleanup at. The one thing is, when we had the problem with the reeds on Shore Road, I had them come in and cut those down. I said, if you wanna use that towards the, full cleanup, we had to have it done. I said, if you're over there, it's something that they do in the fall. He goes, I'll do it ahead of time, I'll cut them back. This way it won't be, it's just, I won't say too full. So it won't be an issue. And I'll find out when they're gonna do their final cleanup, because it's still leaves on the trees. You know, how many times they come back, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so I'll find out for you, as soon as I hear from him, I'll let you know.
What do the reeds have to do with the landscape?
The reeds were all over Shore Road. It was almost like a driving hazard coming down. And to have them come in and clean up, it would have been extra service. I said, well, can you put that towards, it's gotta be done, it's gotta be cleaned up. Usually they take care of that. So he
This is
says,
a
well,
contract that they do take care of that,
in
isn't
the
it?
fall.
In the fall.
So, but it had to be done, and they said, well, can you cut them back further enough where we don't have to do it in the fall, where this way they're not coming in banging us out for any
Yeah, but
charge.
in the past, I thought they did in the summer, didn't they? That people couldn't see.
I'll find out as far as the leaves are concerned, when that last time they plan on doing it.
Okay. We should talk about trees now that it's getting into snow season. Do we want to see if any trees need to be taken down before the winter? Because I know some residents have some concerns. Yes?
I think so.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you have the time or can do it, since it took so many months last time. My thought is, do we let Harry run the project? He's met with them, he can see which ones, and then we can...
These don't take so long, because I was just trying to find out what the right way to treat it.
Yeah.
It was something, I understand, there was like a project going on and...
Okay, so do you want to do it?
Yeah, I'll go through it again. I just, I still have the same list that you gave me, but that was all taken care of.
Are we gonna go through the bid process again, or just have all the lists that come in and?
Well, we'll go through and see what's
Yeah.
needed. If it's only a couple of trees, we can decide from there, but at least have a list for next meeting, you know.
We're working off of a dollar amount, and we budgeted the trees.
We're not, but we'll have the budget.
Well, but maybe we should just think about that.
Right. Well, we can go by what's needed, what's not needed, I mean, and then look and see what we can afford.
So what we'll not only do is figure out a list of trees, but a price. And because, I know that was what we used to, from back and forth, trade-off between taking down any tree that looked like it was, as opposed to how much it was going to cost us. And we said, someone wants to let it go for another year, see how it goes. And we'll look at it. We'll do something because
The thing about Albert Lister is he's not here to cut trees down. He's here to let you know what can stay, what you need to do is balance the tree. He's not just one that just wants to cut it down for the
Right.
sake of cutting it. So it might be worth it just to take him around.
We did do that last year, but it just, more times, I mean, I've already cut up a couple trees just when something comes down. It's not a big deal. If I'm home, I'll do it. But I see now it's mostly residence trees that are coming down, like the one I have on White Pond the other day. And I think the village is really cleaning up a lot of stuff, but I think a lot of the situations that I've just dealt with in the past, but since February, it's been a lot of residence trees. So instead, I know, you hear public safety or hear from you, and then you call them up, and if I'm not home, I can't do it, and then Bizarre Vista, it's mostly residence trees that we've been dealing with in the past couple of months.
So, yeah, so we should be backfilling the residents.
All right, well,
I mean, if it's in the street, we have to take it out.
yeah, no, I
You know,
understand. I get it. I just, that's what I've seen in the past since the last one.
What happened since the summer? We had the big cleanup in the summer, right? So we're just noticing, because the leaves are off, that there's some more trees that are in precarious positions? Is that
I
what's
feel like
going
every
on?
time a storm comes through, we lose one or two, and maybe just to be a little proactive, like we used to be. I mean, so far, not almost electric, so.
Did we ever, do we have, I know it's not policy, at least nothing that I've seen, but did we ever maybe take a resolution saying that it was the responsibility of the residents to clear private trees, and that we will go back then if it caused purposes in the street, and we have to go and send somebody out to do it? Because if they say it's not my responsibility, it's your responsibility to clear the street, and we get into the back and forth, this could go legal and all that stuff.
We really, honestly, most of the time, we just knock on the door and say it's your tree, we'll move it to the side, and we really don't have any problems.
Moving it to the side, we've all done that a couple times.
You don't want to have a resident going out into the street with a chainsaw. cutting the tree. Moving it back, if we have to take 1 or 2 cuts and put it on their property to do that, it's fine, but you don't want the resident coming out with a chainsaw.
No, I agree with that. What I'm saying is that in terms of who pays for it, who has the responsibility to pay for it, and we would take the lead as we've been doing. But I just think that maybe we should cover ourselves with some kind of a resolution that says if it's a private tree and it's blocking the street, of course we're going to clear the street.
Well, White Pond was the same situation, it was blocking the road. And it was, well, what do we do? If I was home, I would cut up, and then Harry was going to do it, but then I guess it was a Saturday. So I guess the resident called somebody, or did
No.
they? I don't
No,
know.
I got hold of David went up there and did it.
Okay.
They didn't cut the tree on White Pond.
No,
There was a outside tree company,
When he got
actually a landscaping company.
Oh, so maybe the
That's why
article.
they were completed.
But Harry, remember when I came by just as you and David were there? And,
That was on Singing Wood.
oh, singing, you're right. But still, the same thing, where the tree was going to be cleared right to the curb. But it was still kind of a hazard. I mean, the road was...
Well, that's why he cut it back a couple more feet than where it was.
Right, that's what he and I were talking about before you got there, but what I'm saying is that if it's a cost to us, even if David does it, we're paying him, right? So we are spending money to clear a private tree. And
Minimal.
well, that's what I'm saying. So when you said, we'll just bill it back to them, we should either have a policy in place that says this is what we're going to do, or say it's an insignificant amount of money and it's not worth it.
The tree is standing, and there's a branch that overhangs the road, and the public, it's actually a public right-of-way. It's not just the road, because the right-of-way is bigger than the road. But legally, it's our responsibility up to the point where it crosses the right-of-way, up to the private property. So whatever, if a branch looks like it's going to come down, or we just want to trim it back for some reason, we can trim it back up to the edge of the right-of-way. What the town normally does is if it's a bad branch, they'll take it back to the trunk, and they won't as long as it hangs over the road, they'll take it back to the trunk and they won't bill you. But the other thing is if somebody has a tree that is what we call quote unquote private tree, and it falls down on the road, the part of the tree that is on the road is our responsibility. The fact that it started on a private property and ended up on the road, I don't think the full tree is then the private property owner's tree. It's the same thing when you have a tree that falls on a neighbor's property. The part of the tree that's on the part of the tree that's still on your property is your responsibility. Part of the tree that went on their property is theirs. responsibility. So to sum up, if the white pine, actually, I'm sorry, I want to speak about a particular case that there's a,
No, but it sounds like you're saying that we would never then even build back.
Hey,
We
because
are
we're responsible for any holes in the road. You kind of get to the road.
whatever's in the road, we're responsible for.
Which we've been doing,
Yeah.
and we would do that anyway, so we
Right.
wouldn't be doing that.
What we have done in the past, though, is when you were doing it, Harry would knock on the door and say, this is your tree, we'll take care of it, but you're gonna have to pay for it, and we never had any problem, someone saying they weren't going to.
So say you have a 24-inch tree fall from, it starts out 20 feet inside somebody's property and falls across the road, right? So there's 20 feet of the tree that's a large tree that's still on the people's property. So what I would do in that case is I would clear the part that's on the right of way and ask the people, do you want us to clear, our people are there working, do you want us to clear the rest of it, but we have to charge you for that. Whatever that amount is, that incremental amount that's on your property, $100, we're gonna backbill you for the $100. That's what I would do. So we'll take out what's up to the property line, wherever the property line is, and then ask the people if they would like us to take the rest while we're there, or our contractor to take the rest, but we have to backbill them for that amount.
So we don't need a resolution for that, then? We can just decide that.
Yeah, if you want to do a resolution, we'll put it on the next.
Alright.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea to have a policy now, have it ready for the next meeting. But the town, we're the part of the town, the part of the area where I live in, people frequently call for branches that are starting on their private property and overhanging the road, and the town will come and take, if it looks like it's something that's gonna come down, the town will take it down because it's a danger to the road, and they don't really ask you about it. But they won't take a tree down, they'll take a branch down.
So we have a tree that the resident, it's on village property, we determine it's on village property. It hangs over the road. If it falls down, it's not going to affect that person's house, but it's going to affect the person across the street. And they're asking us to say, well, what are you going to do? It's a healthy tree, there's nothing wrong with the tree, it just hangs over the road.
And the person that it's going to affect hasn't said anything,
No,
then I wouldn't,
just leave it for now.
yeah, unless
Okay.
one of these places tells you it's about to come down, I wouldn't do it.
All right, well, I know, Sandy, you have a tree, right? So where is that?
Hanging right over paper, like
Over
that.
But across the street from your
See, it would
house?
affect, if it did come down, I could get out, but my neighbors could not get out. I mean,
Is that the one that
that's-
there's one that I trimmed last year that was
No,
just,
this is a
No, that
huge,
came down.
that came down, right.
oh, this
There's
is
one that came down, I trimmed
across
that
the
one after
street
that,
from
right.
me. Across the
It's right
street.
next to the one that came down last year.
It's here.
If it could block the road, then anybody
Yeah.
could call, it doesn't matter which house you're in. It's good, if it starts out on somebody else's property and has nothing to do with your property, but it could potentially block the road, anybody on the road can call.
Okay.
Well, this is on village property.
Yeah, so that's,
So I would start, that's tree number 1 on the list. Okay, anything else on trees? Let's hope for no snow, right, Ron? Okay, number 7, the Village of Poquott versus John Richardson. In the case of the village,
This is in Village Court right now, and it's in Supreme Court right now. There's no reason discussing this publicly. This is in two.
Can I tell you the
courts.
reason that
It's in
we're-
litigation.
okay,
There's
so
no reason to be discussing anybody's court cases that's in litigation on a public forum.
outside counsel asked the board to approve your agreement. Do you want the agreement approved or not?
No, I just spoke to my attorney today, and he's going back.
Okay,
So that's what I'm saying. Right now, it's between those two attorneys. It should not be between the village.
okay, but what
Between
you
our
understand is
forum.
that
Okay,
you
well.
were being offered a deal, and the deal has to be approved by the board, so it has to be
Again, we're
discussed.
discussing it, we're not, it's in a conversation, this is thus discussed between the village, or between the two attorneys. We're not discussing my case locally, I don't want anybody else's, either way. It's not happening.
Well, it is gonna happen because we have to approve it. We don't have to approve it, we could just say no and go forward.
We're not
Why would
discussing
you
it.
not?
Because the terms have changed. My attorney's, well, I'm just speaking to my attorney right now, and now it's in Supreme Court, and I have to answer to it. We're not discussing it. We're not. I'm not discussing.
But then you
not
realize that
everybody
you
else.
can't make a deal. You realize that, right? Without us.
You made a deal with me in the back room 6 months ago, or 7 months ago. So, and then it turned into this, and that's it. We're not discussing it further.
Okay, I don't think it turned into this without you getting it to this point, okay? Because I think you need to take a little responsibility for yourself, okay?
See, we're not
But this is a
discussing-
chance.
This isn't litigation, we'll let the attorneys discuss it.
I'm telling you that outside counsel has sent me the agreement and said the board needs to.
Okay, my
approve it.
outside counsel said that it should not be discussed, it's in litigation. Between the village, it's in village court and now it's in Supreme Court, so there's no reason to be discussing my public affairs on a public, or my private affairs in a public forum, period.
So we'll just let it go forward.
Pardon me?
I'll just let them go move forward.
It's really up to the board. I mean, I don't, if there's a settlement proposal in any case, it has to be, unless it's a contingency of the settlement that it's confidential, which in a municipality you really can't put that contingency in because there's no way you can keep it confidential. It has to be disclosed to the board in a public session in order to have a vote on it. If Mr. Richardson can't dictate to the board that that's something, you know, he doesn't want his affairs in public. They're already in public court, but however, if his complaint is that there really isn't a settlement right now, if he's advising the board that there really isn't a settlement right now, and that's the reason why he doesn't want it read in public, then I think that's probably something he should respect, but then he has to realize that there is no settlement, and it's not going to be settled until it is read in public.
Right,
And other than that, it's up to you.
okay. All right, so then
And
we'll just wait.
So,
But then the deal that he's being offered is going to be null and void.
I don't know anything about
Okay,
this.
all right.
As a part of the board, I'd just like to get some clarification. My understanding is that you're saying that there is an offer of a settlement, and you need to say yea or nay.
Right, because it's a lot less than
Okay.
what is being pursued.
And if we don't do that, then obviously that is not going to be an offer that for you to be on the table.
No.
So, John, are you saying to us that
What I'm
there
saying is
no
my offer was turned down by the attorney, and that's all I'm saying.
Okay, so
My
there
offer
is
was
no
turned down.
offer that we're...
So it's
we're
off the
talking
table,
about.
everything's off the
Okay,
table.
so then we
I
don't need to vote on it.
Well, because when I came to vote for it, they said no, and now we came back with something else. And that's, look,
It doesn't
we're getting
matter.
sucked into it. I'm
It
not
doesn't
discussing
matter,
this.
are we
This is between
voting or we're
attorneys.
not? If we're not going to vote, fine, it just means
Let the
that...
attorneys discuss
It
it.
sounds like it's not at that point yet. So
Right, that's what
John's
I'm
saying
saying.
it's not there, so let's
Right.
not talk about it.
Right.
Okay,
It's
so
not
that's what
ready
I'm trying to
it's
put
not
on the
ready.
table. Exactly.
Right, John? It's not
Right.
ready. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, fine, we'll just wait till next month, vote a month after. Okay. Okay, so, Joe, we were talking last month about doing an ethics policy. Do you want to do that for December?
Right, so
January?
I think that the ethics policy has to be updated. There's several things that I'd like to do to bring it into, and also, you know, to update it and also to tailor it towards occurrences, you know,
I got
I get sick when people disrespect you, but I'm not gonna sit here and have, this is like court, this is what court is like, in case anybody ever wondered. There's things that we could have in our ethics policy that would be tailored towards this board, which I think are important, you know, to help you operate, basically. And so I'd like to propose those in a modified ethics policy that I'll get to you before the next meeting.
Okay, are we looking just at the policy or at the code too?
It would be the code also.
Okay. Okay, any
Did we discuss
Updates on-
sexual harassment policy? We discussed that at all?
we have one for employees, that's in the code.
Okay, but we have to update it.
We do, okay.
We'll do that at the next meeting. There's changes to the sexual harassment policy that we need to do for the next meeting. Coming from the state. All the villages are in the process of doing this.
So right now it's included in the handbook for all like the code people, clerks, so I'll get you a copy of it, or maybe you have a copy, I don't know.
Pardon?
Do you have a copy of the one that we have?
I would appreciate another copy.
Okay.
I probably have it somewhere, I would appreciate another copy. But the New York Conference of Mayors has, there's a couple of law firms that have proposed what they consider to be the changes that match what the state requires. Generally, I would suggest that you use the one from the New York Conference of Mayors, NICOM.
Okay.
So I'll get that for you and we could work off of that.
Okay. Any updates on any of the lawsuits that we have?
Right, so we have several developments. The Stevens lawsuit was finished, and the judge split up the decision. The issue was called bifurcated decision, where he made the decision, then he decided what the fines will be. So, as I understand it, the fines are $9,000. I wasn't here that night in court because of the conflict, I couldn't attend. But as I understand it, the fines are $9,000. And so that is what's going on with that. The other case that we're involved in is the case of Ashley Homes versus. It was Ashley Homes versus the village and the ZBA. The village got dismissed out of the case. I made a motion in the village. One of the things happened was the case against the village was dismissed, but the case continues against the ZBA. And so the person that's suing the village, Ashley Homes, is a developer that had, as I understand it, had a winning bid at a Suffolk County auction, tax auction. I explained this to the ZBA, but I haven't explained this to this board, right?
No.
Okay. So Ashley Homes, their interest in the property was that they would, at least 2 years ago, they were the winning bidder at a Suffolk County tax auction. So Suffolk County took the property because the taxes were not paid, and then it went into this large group of properties that every year they auction off a bunch of them. And Ashley Homes was, as I understand, was a successful bidder. So Ashley Homes then had a contract to buy the property from Suffolk County, and they filed an application with the board for, with the village for a building permit. Before buying the property, the building permit was turned down, and they went to the ZBA. The ZBA denied the application, and then they started the lawsuit against the village, Ashley Homes versus Poquott. And but they still did not own the property. You can sue. You can do file a building permit application. File with the ZBA and then start a lawsuit if you're what's called a contract vendee, because you're in contract to buy a property, or somebody's assigning you a contract. So then what happened was somebody from the village contacted me in September or October and told me that there was another Suffolk County auction sign on the property, and I looked online, and sure enough the property was back in the Suffolk County auction, which I believe means that Ashley Homes didn't fulfill the contract. They didn't actually buy that house. So I sent a letter to the attorney for Ashley Homes, and I said that obviously I represent the village of Poquott, and you have this active case, and I understand that Ashley Homes is no longer in contract to buy the property. Please withdraw the case. He didn't do it. So I filed a motion with the court, which is returnable next week, and the motion is to dismiss the case because Ashley Homes no longer has an interest in the property. And so we'll see what happens with that motion in the meantime. For several of the villages that I represent had properties that were